still remember the first time I tried this. The first time I took a splash cymbal and I put it on my snare drum. Now, I had heard about this before, but I hadn't tried it myself. So I took the splash cymbal, I put it on the snare drum, I grabbed my sticks, and I hit the drum. That one moment changed everything that I thought I knew about the rules of drumming, what was possible, how much fun it is to break the rules, and just how much there is left for us to discover and share on this instrument. This episode is all about experimenting with what's in front of you, exploring new sounds, and just making it up on the fly. We're gonna think about drums and sound a little differently. Things could get pretty weird, so buckle up. Let's go over muffling first. This is about dampening the overtones, reducing the ringing of your snare drum, emphasizing the lower tones, and overall warming up the sound of your drums. If you're like me, or for instance, you just bought a new drum set and are using the heads that came on the kit, then you might be starting with a completely open sound from a single ply head. We're going to talk about ways to modify that.
I'm starting today with a bit of Gaffer's Tape on the drums. I like this little bit of muffling to take the edge off of the overtones and to focus the sound just that little bit. As with everything we're going to mess with today, you have to experiment with this yourself to find the sound that you like. For me, I like playing around with the overtones and rim shots all over the place, so I find that little bit of control to be a nice starting point. Next, we have the classic put your wallet on your snare drum trick. After carrying your IDs and credit cards, the next most valuable use of your old wallet is to muffle your snare. I think this one sounds pretty good. You can cut up an old drum head or use pre-made products like this big Fat Snare Drum to add mass and a ton of dampening to your drums. You're going to lower the pitch and get a nice beefy snare sound from this trick. Next, you can find some old small towels and put them on your drum, put them on your whole kit even. Another nice trick is to tape them just along the edge of the drum to reduce the ringing without muffling the entire head. Now, we're going to move on to the noisemakers. I was given this vintage Afghani coin belt, and it turns out that it's a fantastic jingly sound that I can add to my hi-hat or snare drum. It's more subtle than a tambourine and doubles as a way to muffle my snare. You can get some really great sounds from things like this. You can buy ankle bells, mini tambourines, all sorts of interesting percussive odds and ends that you'll notice drummers throwing on their hi-hats these days. I kind of shrugged it off as just the latest trend until I tried it myself, and now I can't stop. I'm really partial to these seed shakers on top of a pair of 15-inch Masters dark hi-hats. They just add this special, magical, percussive tone to every hit, and it's pretty addictive. Even though you can't tune them like a drum, there's so many fun ways to modify your cymbal sounds. Here's a classic one, Sizzle chains. PAISTE can install rivets on any cymbal you order, but if you want to add a similar sound to your existing cymbals, a sizzle chain is the perfect shortcut. If you've got a broken cymbal lying around, find a new way to transform it. Here's an old PAISTE 505 cut up and thrown on a cymbal. It sounds nice and rattly and just really cool. Finally, if you're already using effect cymbals like this PST X Thin Crash, don't forget to change what you're hitting your drums and cymbals with. Trying bundles, mallets, even your hands, every change in the implement you're using on your drums is going to sound different, and it's so exciting to explore. This one was especially fun when I thought about it. I took a PAISTE 9-inch PST X Pure Bell, and I threw it on my snare drum just like a splash. Because it's a lot thicker, when you hit it directly, you get a nice, distinct cutting sound, and then it also transforms the sound of your snare drum.
Our job as musicians is to define and redefine music itself. Our job is to find new ways to inspire ourselves and to empower others. not to be restricted by the sounds and musical definitions of previous generations. With that said, if you're watching this 10, 5 years, hey, even a year from now, these sounds are old news, and I want you to get out there and explore, experiment, create and discover your own sounds, your own ways of making music.
Now, how do you get your drumming to sound really professional? Well, a lot of the answer has to do with dynamics. So if you click on this video, you're gonna learn all about ways you can develop those nuances and get really consistent and professional with your playing.